Are you ready to learn to get rid of stress in your life? To learn how to deal with the emotional turmoil that causes strokes, heart attacks, bad health, and even weight gain? Life-changing habits for work, family, and everyone you deal with start here with Andrew Wittman. It's time for Get Warrior Tough on WCCP 105.5 The Roar. Here's Andrew Wittman.
What's going on, Lee Harper? How you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I took a vacation day, and then you took a vacation day, and hope your family had enjoyed your vacation.
Yeah, we had a great time.
You told me you went to Camp Lejeune.
Yeah, Camp Lejeune, man, back down Onslow Beach.
Hey,
right?
they got nice beaches down there.
They do. It's just so awesome. And I want to give a shout out to all the fans, though. So this is when we started the Get Warrior Tough show here at the beginning of the summer. I had like 55 likes on the Facebook page, and we're over 1,200 now. So thank you to everybody that went and liked the Facebook page. And also this morning I woke up to an alert on my phone. We just hit 1,000 YouTube subscribers this morning. So
well, I shared your page with I'm not married anymore to her, but my former stepson.
Yeah.
He is out of the Army, and he's in a leadership role, and I shared with him your site, so he's been checking it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
And loves it.
So I want to just thank everybody that got them. I mean, that's just so awesome. I'm kind of blown away. So stuff's working. Hey, that's awesome. I appreciate it. If you want to get in on the conversation, hashtag Get Warrior Tough, go to GetWarriorTough.com, the Facebook page, the YouTube subscriber. Now, listen, this week I was at Camp Lejeune, Lee, but I had the privilege of being with my oldest and dearest friend, who is the crisis manager for one of the largest banks in the Pacific Rim. And I hadn't seen him in 31 years, and man, thank God for social media, because we got to keep up. We lost touch. I hadn't seen him since 1984. We reconnected back after 2002, and it's just so cool to have a lifelong friend. But anyway, he's from Australia. I got to sit down with him this week in the studio in our office. He's already back in Australia. He got on the plane, but I wanted to capture and sit down with him. He's a crisis manager. He's a guy, we talk about stress control and mental toughness, and it's just amazing to hear from someone else's perspective halfway across the planet. So we're going to play that whole interview today. But we're here in the studio. If you want to text in, call in. Lee, what are those numbers?
The call-in number is 654-7627. It's 654-ROAR. Put it in your brain. Chisel it in your brain.
Chisel it in.
And the text line is 986-1566. 986-1566.
Okay, that's awesome. So if you guys want to get a hold of us, just text in, call in, whatever. But we're gonna play this interview, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did, because it's fun to listen to this guy talk, because he's got that great accent. So are we ready to go with that, Lee? Awesome. Let's hit it.
Hey, how are you? I'm here with my good friend, my longest and most dearest friend, Craig Moroz, all the way from Sydney, Australia. And Craig, thanks for joining us, man.
A pleasure.
Now, you're all the way here from way, way across the pond.
That's it, halfway across the world.
Halfway across. You can't get as far as you could get and still be here.
I think that's about it, yeah.
Now, how many hours difference is it?
14.
40, so you guys are ahead 14
Yeah,
hours.
it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow
there
already.
It's tomorrow. Yeah.
So we're like in a time warp.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're actually
Back to the
older. You're
future.
older than I am then.
Yeah, probably.
No, just... Hey, buddy, I totally appreciate. Now, you and we haven't seen each other for 31 years.
That's it.
And so we met each other in high school.
Yep.
In Wagga Wagga, Australia.
That's it.
Now, tell me about Wagga Wagga a little bit. Tell us all about what that even means.
Wagga Wagga. Well, it was originally named through the Aboriginal dialect. Wagga means crow, and if you want to get the plural, you just say it twice. So it translates to place of many crows, Wagga Wagga. But everybody just calls it Wagga.
Just one Wagga.
Just one Wagga. There's other places called Woy Woy, Grong Grong. You don't call them Grong or Woy, but Wagga Wagga, you call Wagga. That's just the way it is.
Wow. And so I come rolling in there in 1983.
You come rolling in. I come into Wagga in 1981, and I'm the new kid. I'm from a new town. And then, I get all the attention because I'm the new kid. Some of it wasn't good. And then you come along, and then you're the new kid.
2 years later.
2 years later, and you're the new kid.
So is that kind of, see, I didn't really realize this. All I know is I showed up, I was a new kid, I was getting bullied, and I was, people don't believe this, but I was 5'3" and 185 pounds. I was a short, fat kid in high school, and I was bullied.
Yep.
And you came and really rescued me from being bullied.
Yeah, I mean, look, my memory's not that clear on it, but I know I've had a lifelong hatred of bullies. Life is about helping people, not putting them down. And, there was things that happened in school that just rubbed me the wrong way. and that's the kind of behaviour throughout my whole life has rubbed me the wrong way. People picking on others just for the sake of picking on them. Just because they're different, that doesn't work for me.
Well, thank you for showing up and saying. Now, what people don't realize, now you are a character in my first book, The Australian Triangle, is modeled after you.
Yeah, and you killed me.
Well, I didn't mean to, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you want, it's called The Australian Triangle. You can still get it on Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's out of print though, but you can get the electronic version. But that really gives my side of the story about how you rescued. But you were such a huge influence in my life, and I don't think people realize. I don't even think you realize how big of an influence and how you set the course of my life to going into the Marine Corps. You introduced me to war movies and the military and squad leader, and we talked about this. We played this game. It was a squad leader game, World War II scenarios, and it really taught us strategy and how to see things from the 50,000 foot level. And that's what I say was one of my superpowers, is to be able to see ahead, and I really learned that playing those games with you.
And that was playing those games was, there was things happening in my life that were not great, and some of them you knew about, some of them you didn't.
Right.
And they were kind of my release. My release was books around history, and I love the military, and I was pretty clear I was going down a military track. And then here you arrive, and I start talking about American military history, and you look at me and there's no idea.
I had no clue.
No
and I'm
clue.
not American.
Yeah. And it's like, how can you not know this stuff? This is part of your history. What about this and what about this?
Right.
And
so you started schooling me, really, is what happened.
Well, that's the way it turned out.
Well, yeah.
And then the whole thing around those military games, that was kind of my own ambition, because I was convinced I was going to be an officer in the Australian Army. I was convinced, that was going to be my career track, and I was working towards that goal. And anybody else that showed the slightest interest in anything military, I've got to hang on to you.
Right. So you didn't let me go, and so what happened was that also became one of my career goals, was to be an officer in the Australian. And I was talking about going to the military academy. And my mom and dad, they were like, "This ain't happening." So I think they boxed me up and shipped me out in the middle of the night. We didn't even get the chance to say goodbye. I just disappeared in the middle of the night, gone.
Disappeared, gone.
Right. Came back to the U.S. and then I joined the U.S. Marine Corps, and then you
I joined the Australian Army.
Right.
And then life kind of went on from there. It was. The military life was everything I thought it would be. I got my first introduction when I was signed up, and at Wagga, there's an important thing. There's a couple of important things. There's an RAAF base where they train apprentices and they retrain pilots. And they've got the recruit training battalion for the Australian Army.
So it's kind of like our Paris Island for the Marine Corps.
Exactly.
It's right there in our hometown, basically. Correct. Now, where we're living.
Yeah, so I get my first introduction to military life. I'm accepted, and I'm given a rail warrant to travel to Sydney to be sworn in, and I ask the question, can't I just go straight out to Kapooka and be sworn in? It's like, no, the swear-ins are done in Sydney, so get on the train, come to Sydney. I get to Sydney, I get sworn in, and they get put straight on a bus and straight back to Wagga, straight back to 1RTB.
So, okay, military intelligence is the same worldwide.
Absolutely. It is still an oxymoron. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So that's a good time. And then now, folks don't really know this, but if you read the book, which you and I kind of lost touch for about 10, 12 years, and then someone said, hey, Wittman wrote a book and you're in it.
Yeah.
Right, so you got the book, and then you called me, and you said that there was like cold blood ran. So tell me about what happened there.
I'm reading this book and reading the story about Warrant Officer Moroz. And the thing that you didn't know was I didn't get in as an officer. I had to enlist as an enlisted man.
Yeah, we both kind of went the enlisted route, right?
So, gone the enlisted track. That good friend of ours, Paul Cleavens, he had gone the officer track. He was going to ADFA. He didn't quite make it there. He got to the Royal Military College. He's going through there. And then I'm reading the book, and we fast forward, and I'm reading this book, and Warrant Officer Moroz is killed in a parachute accident.
Spoiler alert.
There we go. I've spoiled it.
No, anyway.
But there's a parachute accident there, and you had, writing that book, you had no way of knowing.
No, none. We had lost touch. There was no social media at the time. No, we had seen each other, talked to each other.
Yeah. And I've gone through this infantry track, and I had a couple of life-changing injuries in the service, and one of them was a near fatal parachute fall, and my lower legs are all titanium and wire and pins and plates and screws.
And you actually lost a mate in that
I lost a very good friend in that jump.
Right. So so that was a little too freaky.
It was very freaky. The hair stood up in my arms. I thought, I've got to finish this book. Even though he's killed me, I've got to finish that book.
And that was a very sad day for me when you left me, actually, because you left me on my own. But But I hope I paid homage to you enough that you saw in the book what kind of huge influence you were and what an impact you did have on my life.
That was the thing that struck me in the book, and I love reading it to the end, was the fact that through reading that book, I got an insight into the guy that I never got a chance to say goodbye to.
Right. Wow.
And you know, the thing about you was you were always on my mind. And in the absence of social media, it's like, how am I going to track this guy down?
Right.
What's going on?
We're 2 continents, oceans apart. I mean, it's as far away
Oceans
from each
apart.
other as we could get.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And they were still there. And it was really when school reunion started, I put the word out. If anyone hears from the Wittman boys, I need to contact. I need to talk to them.
Right.
And that was really that introduction of your brother Peter came along and came to one, and someone knew, and they've asked him some questions, and they reported back, oh yeah, Andrew turned up to a school reunion, and we asked about his brother Andrew, and yeah, he was a Marine and he's doing other stuff now. Oh, and by the way, he wrote a book and you're in it. You know,
by the way, he wrote a book and you're in it. What?
By this stage, the internet's around, Amazon's there, and before you know it, I've got a copy, and I'm reading this book, and after that, you know, it's got to make contact, track you down, and
then
I
we
called you.
Yeah, you did call me, and that was still expensive back then, but we talked for about an hour and a half, and I know it was like $2 a minute or whatever.
Yeah, don't tell anyone, but I did it at work, and it didn't cost me a cent, but it's all right.
Right, we'll have to edit that out. But and then social media and Facebook and all that, and then finally we've been talking about coming back and forth, you know, for so long, and we both have. I mean, you got grandkids and kids, and I got kids, and finally you just said I'm going, and then you showed up, and I'm so glad, man. It's just wow. And you know what I found out? It's almost like we haven't even been. I mean, it's almost like Twins, that movie, you know, where you're separated at birth, but we have our tracks that we set in the course of our life. Yeah, because now tell me what now. You know all my stuff, and most of my audience knows my stuff and my background. But tell me, what do you do now? Is you kind of followed a similar track, just in the commercial world, but
so when I went through the infantry center, I got pretty badly injured, so I had to be moved from the regular army to the reserve, and when I left that, I had to get a real job. And so I applied to a number of different organisations, and I got 4 letters of offer on the same day. One organisation treated me like a human, and that's the organisation I joined. It's the Westpac Bank in Australia. They treated me like a person, and I've been with them for just coming up 30 years.
30 years.
I've given 30 years of service to one organisation.
And this is how you ended up. You said, and just as a lark, or as a joke, you said, if I can't make it in the infantry, I guess I'll
go and become an accountant. Yeah.
So you were actually paralyzed in the bed. You know, that was another accident. You actually were paralyzed, and then you learned how to walk again. Parachute accident, learn how to walk again. Knees blown out in another accident, learn how to walk. So again. It's time to be an accountant at this point, right? Because they're saying, hey, look, man, we can't put you in the field anymore. I know that's the short version, but
that's the short version. So roll forward 30 years, and I'm part of Westpac's Group Protective Services team. So we're the people that get called when everybody else has a problem. My job's crisis management.
So you're crisis manager now. So this not only covers like natural disasters, but when team members are traveling foreign, there's a terrorist attack. Now, you talked that there was the Australian version of 9/11. You had actually, it was very personal because you had team members on the ground that were blown up in a suicide bombing in Bali.
Correct.
At a resort. So and
2002.
that's something, right? So that's something that you have to get involved in directly, and you go to work with. It's kind of like what we do with FEMA, and you go to work with that on the commercial side. Is that?
So you're right. Natural disasters, responses like that, and more recently in December last year, there was a hostage situation, and we had 4 of our people inside a cafe. So
then you're running the command center, and
Correct.
you have to walk through the. Okay,
I'm working with the executive. I'm working with the CEO and the executive team.
So if there was, and in our country, it's like an active shooter or some kind of event like that, you would be there handling whatever the crisis is and whatever the policies are in place, and you would be running the command center and walking them through the entire thing.
Correct.
Okay, so I want to talk about that when we get back from break. Is that okay? You'll hang on with us, right? Because you're
Absolutely.
not going. I'm not going anyway. All right. So we'll be right back after this break. Thanks.